I'm going to show you where to find all of the masking tools in our preferred Adobe products here in Week 1 bonus video 2. Now I'm going to start in Lightroom Classic. In Lightroom Classic, you may usually be presented with the grid, the library, right? I'm in the library module, they call it. In order to access the masking tools in Lightroom Classic, I need to go to, and you probably already guessed it, the Develop module. Now I could click the Develop tab here to go there, or maybe you didn't know, you can do on the Mac Command Option 2. On the PC, that's Control Alt 2. I'm in the Develop module. If I want to quickly go back to the Library module, it's the same keyboard shortcut, but not 2, it's 1. Command Option 1, Control Alt 2, 1 or 2, 1 or 2, holding down Command Option, Control Option. I'm now in the Develop module. I have to be here in order to access my masking tools. It's going to be pretty quick here. So watch as I locate my mask panel. Little dashed circle over here. When I hover, it tells me the keyboard shortcut for it, should I choose to use a keyboard shortcut. I prefer to click it, but I may want to bring it up with the keyboard shortcut Shift W. That makes no sense. Mask, you'd think would be an M, but it's a W. It's Shift W to get to the masking. Shift W, wow, that really works. Now, if you have never added a mask to this file yet, this is the first view of the masking panel. The primary buttons, and below those, I think every bit as primary, these little mini buttons. This is where all the masking tools in Lightroom Classic will be found. I'm showing you where to find them. As we work through the rest of the course, I'll show you what to do with them. Select my subject. I just did it. It's selecting in white. There's my little selection color. I could tap that. You've seen this already in bonus video 1. I could choose a new color. For my mask color, that's pretty good. All right, so that is my mask panel. If I don't have a mask already, but I have a mask. And when you have a mask already, let me come back. When you have a mask already and you go to the masking panel, it looks very different indeed, doesn't it? Hey, where are my primary buttons? Where are those little mini buttons? They aren't there. Once you have at least one mask, the mask panel shows up as a separate little sideways panel. And in order to get to your magic buttons, you have to click the plus sign. Right there, click, and now all of the masking tools are mini button. Right? Subject, we just did that. Sky, mask. Background, mask. Select people, mask. Select objects, use a brush. It's up to me to paint in a mask. Use a linear gradient in any angle, or a radial gradient. It could be a circle or an oval. We'll see what we do with those as we come up. But then I see a little line right there that separates, and that says I can select a particular color range, or a particular brightness or luminance range. Why do they have to use these big words? Very, very rarely will you ever see the opportunity to grab this item called the depth range. It's a very, very tiny opportunity. Only when you're using HEIC files. Right now, HEIC files, only the ones shot in portrait mode on an iPhone can have a depth range, a depth field selected. It's a very rare thing currently, indeed. Well, that's where the tools are found. The first time, if you don't have one, let's delete it. and you click on the mask button, you see the primary buttons with those little mini buttons below. But as soon as you have any mask, and I just created a background mask, you can see it there in green. When you come back to this file, your masks will not look all primary. You'll have to grab them from the plus sign. But it's kind of cool. That's all of it. That's everything. You're done with finding, locating all the masking tools in Lightroom. Let's head over to Bridge. We're in Bridge. You let me know if anything seems, I don't know, familiar to you. Because Bridge, Adobe Bridge, is the equivalent of Lightroom's library module. In fact, the first time you open Bridge, it looks like a grid, just like Lightroom might. And if you look down below on the bottom of that panel in Bridge, you'll see there's a little slider where you could make the thumbnails larger or smaller. It's exactly the same as the library module. Now I'm going to look to my right at the bottom, and I could make a grid with outlines, a grid with no outlines, I'm clicking some other views that I actually prefer. And when you get a view that you like in Bridge, you'll learn this when you take my Bridge course, you can save whatever your favorite workspace is, whatever your favorite view happens to be, you could set it. So I could go to a preview of one type or a preview of another type. All I'm doing is saving my workspace. Whether I like grid view or some other view, I can change that setup in Bridge in the equivalent of Lightroom Classic's library panel or library module. All right, it looks familiar there. Now I'm looking up for where's the develop module? Where's the develop? There is no develop module in Bridge. No, so what you do is you click the image you want to edit, just like you might in Lightroom, but instead of going to a develop module, you want to edit the raw file. File menu, raw file. Open in Camera Raw. Command or Control R for let's go edit the raw file. And that is the equivalent of the develop module. In fact, it also looks very similar to Lightroom. This portion, the sliders, are in fact the exact same code that's in Lightroom. There's no difference to the code, but they changed the view slightly. The view is a little bit different. And what drives me particularly crazy is that all the keyboard shortcuts, at least most of them, between Lightroom Classic and Bridge are different. It drives me crazy. Same company, same edits, different keyboard shortcuts. Look to the far right. Hey, you recognize that icon, the dashed circle. You know that's your masking shortcut. And you recognize the sliders, it's there. Well, for some reason, the Bridge team, the Adobe Camera Raw team, decided to stack the tools here rather than here where they were found in Lightroom Classic. What was the keyboard shortcut for the mask panel in Lightroom Classic? Remember, it was Shift W? We thought how crazy that is. Well, in Bridge with Adobe Camera Raw, it makes sense. It's M for the mask panel. It just makes total sense. Now you can go click the button if you want, but masking is M. Now, I don't know. I'll give you $100 if you can tell me why they chose differently. It drives me crazy, but there you go. And you recognize these. Now you're home. You're home. You can see that there are my primary panels of subject. Click. It works the same. Remember, when I had that mask selection and I wanted to see a particular color overlay, here I am. Show my overlay and pick whatever the overlay color is, just like we did in Lightroom. And just like Lightroom, if I already have one mask, then you know you don't see the primary buttons anymore. You already know. Same thing. How cool, honestly, that when you learn it in one app, you really know it in the other. You hit that plus sign. If you have at least one mask in the file now, you hit the plus sign to get to the rest of the masking tools. You recognize these in the same order. Subject, mask, sky mask, background, objects, people, brush, linear gradient, radial gradient, color, luminance, brightness. And I'm not surprised that the depth range is grayed out, as I told you earlier. It is almost always grayed out. But there you go. Here's what we've done. Where do I find all the masking tools in Lightroom Classic? You learned it. Where do I find all the masking tools in Bridge? Well, since Bridge is really the library module, you select images and you do Command R for Rick Said So. No, it's for edit raw files. They don't call it the develop module, they call it edit raw files. I just did the keyboard shortcut, Command or Control R. I'm in, I'm not lost. Even if I were a Lightroom user, I know right where to go now. To that panel, click. I didn't save my file with one, but now I do have one. But if I say done, and now that file has been saved with a mask in it, the next time I come back to edit the raw file, Command or Control R, and I click my masking panel, I don't see the primary buttons. I see the plus sign. No harm, no foul. I'm good. I'm good. Now I want to select the background. All right? Now you know Lightroom Classic, Bridge, and Adobe Camera Raw's masking tools. This is sounding so simple. I'll put the kibosh on that because we're going to go to Photoshop, where it is crazy. Because of Photoshop's long history, the masking tools were added at different points in time to different places in the app. That's where we really have to spend a little time right now. So if you want, take a pause, get a drink, review what you've learned. Bonus video 3 is going to be where all the masking tools are located in Photoshop. You'll need a pencil.